This man named Jim fell into despair. He's been hibernating on a spaceship for 30 years, but accidentally woke up in the hibernation compartment. The other hibernating passengers are still falling asleep. The spaceship is still flying. Jim came to the observation room. The system told him the spaceship was coming from Earth to a new planet. For 30 years. It would take another 90 years to arrive. Jim was stunned. I wake up too early. Jim started to save himself. He used the elevator, got to the central hall to look for the crew, but nobody was there. He wanted to meet the captain, but he had no right. Couldn't get in his area. He wanted to contact with the Earth and report SOS situation, that he woke up too early. He wants to continue hibernating. Message sent successfully, but the system said that this message will come to Earth 19 years later. If it is convenient, Jim will get a reply in 55 years. 55 years. Are you kidding? Such a bad joke. A surprise came. Jim met an employee in a bar on the spaceship. He then realized he was happy too soon, because that was just a robot. Jim told it about his situation, but it told the dormitory to be very safe. There could be no error. Jim didn't give up. He successfully found a guidebook to control the hibernation chain. After trying, he lay in the dormitory, but he couldn't hibernate. He nearly stopped breathing in there. He came in front of the resting compartment, wanted to use chisels or welding to open the door, but still useless. Jim desperately went to the bar again. Drink alcohol to relieve. The employee, using the intelligence of a robot, told him that, don't worry about something you can't control. Live with reality. After that, Jim seemed to understand something. He opened the door of the high-class room, started enjoying this sumptuous yet free ride. He played basketball, ate Chinese food, learned to dance, watched movies. A year went by like that. He has become a homeless person in space. One day he found something more interesting. He discovered 2 modern astronaut suits. He put it on out of curiosity. Wear gravity shoes. Carefully step out of the compartment. Discover a beautiful cosmic world. He's turned off the gravity control button. Body soaring in space. Such a beautiful scene that no one shared. He cried. After returning to the spaceship, he spotted a beautiful passenger hibernating, Aurora. A cruel thought appeared in Jim's mind. Jim lived alone on a spaceship for a year. The other day, he spotted a beautiful passenger hibernating, Aurora. A cruel thought appeared in Jim's mind. He searched for information about Aurora. She is an author in New York, an adventurous girl. In the bar, he mentioned Aurora to the staff. He said he liked her. He went back to his room, see the hibernation control book. He thought, why didn't he wake Aurora up and leave her by his side? He tried to keep himself away from this thought, but he was too lonely. Once that cruel thought arises, then it can't be ignored. He still decided to act, follow the instructions of the book. He arrived in front of Aurora's hibernation, plug in a board, and successfully wake Aurora up. To avoid being caught, Jim quickly cleaned up the toolbox, and went back to his room. After a while, he reached the central hall. Discovered Aurora woke up. Jim told Aurora, on the spaceship, only the 2 of them woke up earlier than expected. Aurora quickly understood her dangerous situation. She thought of ways to save herself. But Jim told her, there's no other way. There is no way to hibernate. Aurora has begun life in space. She likes to run, swim, write novels, occasionally eat with Jim. One day, Aurora curiously asked Jim, why join this 120-year-long trip? Jim said that he was an engineer while on Earth. Want to build a new place to stay on the new planet. Like 5,000 passengers on this ship, change his life. Jim asked Aurora the same question. Aurora says she had bought a round-trip ticket. It takes 120 years to go, and 120 years to get back. 1 year to live in the new planet, then go back to the Earth. Writing this unique experience into a book, it would be best-selling. To ease Aurora's loneliness, Jim took her to dance lessons, play basketball, dance, watch movies. One day, Jim developed a robot with a camera. Invite Aurora to dinner together. Aurora accepted. Jim put on a suit to become a handsome guy. Aurora also wore a beautiful prom dress. The 2 went to the bar together. After dinner, Jim led Aurora in her astronaut suit, flying together in the universe. How beautiful and romantic the universe is. Aurora was completely moved. Everything then happened spontaneously. They had a very memorable evening. Then, they jogged together for dinner. Aurora showed Jim the novels she wrote. Standing in front of the window to they leaned against each other, and watched the giant planet grow. Everything seemed so sweet. But surprises are about to happen. That day was Aurora's birthday. Jim organized a romantic dinner for her. Jim went to the toilet, get the wedding ring prepared. But the robot carelessly told Aurora the secret. Aurora had slept for 30 years in a hibernation. She didn't wake up by herself. Jim woke her up. Aurora was broken. If Jim didn't wake her up, she would smoothly reach the next planet in 90 years. Now her life has been ruined. Jim admitted his action. Aurora angrily left him. Jim apologized to Aurora by radio. Aurora angrily replied, "It was you who stole my life." That night Aurora desperately went to Jim's room, hit Jim fiercely. They became strangers. The spaceship started to show errors. The elevator suddenly stopped. The feeder had no food. One day, there is another man on the spaceship. He's the captain. Was the third person who was accidentally woken up on board. Jim and Aurora saw hope. Under the direction of the captain, they decided to check the spaceship. But the unfortunate thing is, the captain began to experience vomiting headache and started vomiting blood. The automatic treatment room detected the captain suffered 612 diseases. This is brought on by the hibernation failure. The captain knew he was running out of time. Before dying he gave the captain's strap to Jim, told them to take care of each other, and repair the ship. The spacecraft is experiencing more and more serious errors. The bar staff also started getting errors. Aurora was swimming. The ship's gravity began to disappear. She was trapped in this giant water bubble, and nearly drowned. Aurora temporarily let go of her hostility towards Jim. They held hands, find where the error occurred. It turned out that, 2 years ago a meteorite hit the hull leaving a large hole, causing spacecraft to happen a series of incidents. Aurora thought they can't fix it. But Jim did not give up. First, he used a spare toolbox to repair the computer, but failed to fix the exhaust system. Jim decided to go out to the spaceship to fix it. They helped each other on and off the spaceship. Finally, the exhaust system was repaired, but Jim was also pushed out into space by a blast. What's more tragic is that his rope is broken. It is impossible to return to the spacecraft. Aurora put on astronaut suit, risking to save Jim, but found he stopped breathing. Aurora just cried, and manipulating frantically on the treatment room. Miracles have appeared. Jim opened his eyes. At the end of the movie, Jim successfully put on Aurora the prepared ring. Two lonely souls who have experienced dangers choose to be together. We used to think ourselves are the controller of destiny, but in the end we found ourselves just a passenger of destiny. During this trip, we are probably the same as that employee said. Don't keep thinking about your destination without enjoying the present.
You can't get so hung up